There's mounting tension in New York between protesters and some city officials. Hundreds of demonstrators rejected New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's plea to suspend protests. He urged a moratorium until after the funerals of 2 slain police officers. But the protesters say it's unfair to link the two.
Some cops have been shot, apparently by a crazed individual. It is necessary not to let that action become the face of this whole series of events, because it's still young black men that are taking a beating and getting shot, and in fact cops are relatively safe. It's not about their suffering, the suffering of the cops.
The marchers were peaceful Tuesday night. They called for an end to excessive police violence against unarmed black men and chanted that Black Lives Matter. Autumn Marie represents the organization Black Lives Matter NYC, and she joins us here in our New York studio. Autumn, nice to meet you. Thank you very much for coming in. I do appreciate it. So let me ask you this. What specifically was the message for protesting in spite of Mayor de Blasio's call to take a halt on the protest until the officers were funeralized?
I think it was very clear. You know, the message is just that Black Lives Matter. And so, while this has, officers did lose their lives, and nobody's saying that that's not important, it definitely is something that's happened, and it's tragic. However, at the same time, this man also killed his girlfriend, who was a black woman first, and her name has fallen out of the news. And so it is to say Shanika Thompson matters. Since then, we've had a murder last night that just occurred, another police murder. And so it is to say these things matter. And so to ask people, activists, organizers, protesters not to go in the street out of respect for the families of these slain officers is also to create a hierarchy of whose lives matter and how much their lives matter. And so when we go out in the street to say Black Lives Matter, we are to say that these people's lives matter also. And so we must continue to protest against the system that has allowed for their murders.
And I understand, I hear exactly what you're saying, but some would make the argument, though, that the request was, first of all, out of sensitivity to these grieving families, number one, and also to give the police officers who are also grieving the loss of a comrade the space to do that and not have to be on duty to protect the protesters. How do you respond to that?
Well, first off, the police are there because they're not there to protect us. They're there because they've been ordered to be there.
But they're ordered to be there to protect and serve the community. And so they will protect the protesters if something happens. That's a part of their role.
Right. So so them being there, we're also saying that these lives matter. So in a way, these are our comrades, because these are black people who look like us, who are being killed and who are being murdered. So it's highly insensitive to their lives and to the worth of their lives to say, hey, can we just wait to talk about that until after these 2 police officers, until they're buried? No one has called on a moratorium of murders by police of black people and murders of people in general by police in this country, to say, hey, let's wait a while, let's really look at how we use force. There has not been a national mandate or a city mandate in the same way around that. We have lack of indictment in these cases.
I'm just curious, though, would something have been lost, though, to wait a day or two? Even if that wait was also in honor of the fallen unarmed black men that have been killed?
But why are we waiting to speak up about what's happened to them? That does a disservice to their lives to wait to voice our message. This is a timely thing. Our communities are in crisis. This isn't just a message. This isn't just coming out conveniently to say, hey, this is an important issue. Would you please look at it? This is us talking about the worth of lives. This is us talking about the right to live. This is us talking about the dignity of black people. We're talking about human rights here. So we're talking about hundreds of people who have lost their lives. So to ask us to wait to have that message, or, well, can you just have that in a day or two? It's about around what's convenient and when it's okay to be able to voice that. And right now, it's not okay that black people are dying. It's not, and at the hands of a system, and that there's no accountability for that. So there is no convenient time to talk about that. We don't get a moment. Can we just wait to be black for 2 days? Can we take a break from being black? We don't get those types of you know, we don't have those types of moments, those types of breaks in our everyday living, so we shouldn't take a break from voicing what's going on.
Let me ask you about New York City's Mayor Bill de Blasio. He really is sort of taking it from all sides.
Yes.
When Eric Garner died at the hands of the chokehold and the restraint that was applied by Officer Daniel Pantaleo, and of course the grand jury did not bring back an indictment, he made a statement that he had to teach his own biracial son how to respond, how to act around police officers, and that has inflamed many police officers, and of course Pat Lynch, the head of the PBA. And then of course, you know, there are you and those like you who are critical of his request to put off the protest. So where is he going wrong? What would you suggest that he do to turn down the temperature in this city and to decrease the rhetoric between the opposing sides?
First off, I do want to say that, you know, that was a very brave statement of him to make and a very truthful statement. You know, and he really put himself out there to make that statement of truth about his own son and his own family and the reality of the times that we're living in, and not, you know, not stepping down from that moment, really having that. So first of all, I do want to, you know, say that that was a very real, truthful moment. And so, you know, we definitely appreciate that. Him calling for outside investigations into these murders that are happening. So I think that's number one. Also, just looking at how information is released, right, by the police department, the facts that are given on both sides and released to the public and to media. You know, in 24 hours, we know every single thing that this man did from the time he woke up to the day before he murdered these officers. When one of us, just meaning a non-police officer, civilian, a black person is killed, you know, we know everything they did for 48 hours and not what the police officer did who shot them. And so I think just really calling for an outside, you know, task force, calling for an investigation, outside special prosecutors to look at these cases and really looking at how police is handled in this city. And it's not just the city, obviously it's nationwide, but looking at when force is used, you know, and not just when force is used, but the system overall, you know, really at the root of this is what police officers look at as a threat when they see a black man and when they see a black woman or a black person.
So many issues to be discussed, and the discussion has indeed started. Autumn Marie, thank you very much for coming in on Christmas Eve, no less. I do appreciate it. Happy holidays to you. Thank you.